Good afternoon. My name is Katerina. I am 34 years old. This is my son, Alexei. He has a rare genetic mutation called CZT2. It stands for Infantile Epileptic Encephalopathy Type 18. He's 5.5. Lyosha was born prematurely, and he weighed 1 kilogram and was born in the 6th month of my pregnancy. Because of my condition, I had severe preeclampsia, which means high blood pressure, and my kidneys were failing. Even then, the doctors began to suspect that there was some kind of conflict between the fetus and the mother. I had an emergency C-section and I was very depressed. I didn't want it and wasn't prepared since I was only admitted for observation. I didn't understand the consequences, and that I'm not the only one suffering because I couldn't even urinate on my own anymore. They put in a urinary catheter for me. It was connected constantly. I was a monitored patient, meaning my blood pressure wouldn't go down at all. Lyoshka felt like a soccer player in my belly, moving with his head, arms and legs. Yes, so I'm telling this now, yes, kind of with a smile. There was little air, he was already lacking oxygen even then. For me it was a joy back then, yes, that he was so lively. My husband supported me then. He was the first to see the baby and came to me excitedly saying, "Katya, he's such a handsome boy, he's so good, he'll grow up, he'll gain weight, everything will be fine." So there was a lot of support from my husband. At first, when he was premature and had such an extremely low weight, he couldn't nurse from my breast. They put in a feeding tube, of course, and connected him to a ventilator. 2 weeks in intensive care in critical condition. The doctors were hoping for the best, that he would pull through no matter what, because all his other indicators were normal, yes. The only thing that was concerning was that it turned out he was born with just 1 kidney. During those 4 months in intensive care, the baby really tried. He started smiling, focusing his gaze, holding his head up, and was already a chubby little guy. They removed the feeding tube, he learned to drink from a bottle, and we were sent home. So, well, you could say he was basically healthy despite having only 1 kidney, and with the baby everything would have been fine. That was until apnea happened. One day he just turned blue. His nose, lips, everything was blue, and even his forehead started turning blue. My husband and I called for the emergency team. The time between apnea episodes kept getting shorter with each attack. At first it was about half an hour, then 20 minutes, then 10, and then it started happening every 5 minutes. Then the doctor came out and suggested your child might have epilepsy. So for 2 months we were just living, enjoying ourselves, carrying the baby, and life was carefree, you could say, after the nightmare we went through in the neonatal unit. During the next 3 months, July, August, and September, we stayed in the neurology department, adjusting the anticonvulsant therapy. Nothing worked for him. The seizures either got worse or just became more frequent, and as we kept trying to find the right anticonvulsant therapy, he gradually started to lose all his skills. He stopped sucking on the bottle, or if he did, it was weakly, or he would choke and cough. So again we had to use a feeding tube because the child needed to be fed. His expression changed. He stopped smiling and stared distantly to the side. They made it clear that we needed to do genetic testing to understand which direction we should move in. Honestly, I was sure until the very end that Lyosha didn't have any genetic issues. Still deep down a mother's heart and faith, she doesn't want to or maybe can't let herself think the child might leave soon. They discovered a mutation like this, which results in seizures, and the child is completely unresponsive. It's fading away, burning out. That is, all the organs stop functioning properly after some time. Although in the report it was actually stated that the fetus rejects itself even in the womb, right, or if a child is born they live up to 3 months. Lyosha is a real hero and a warrior and really say, "I'm great," right, Lyoka? So we found out our diagnosis, yes, after 2.5 years. For 2.5 years, we were running around everywhere, doing every possible test, just to figure out what was wrong. No one can say how our genetic disease will progress in the future. In any case, it will lead to severe disability. Before, he could at least move his arms and legs by himself. Now he doesn't move them at all, only during a seizure. That means the optic nerves are atrophying along with digestive problems. And most likely, this will also be related to our single kidney. Lyosha has a constant urinary tract infection, so the kidney is still functioning, right? And then possibly, of course, suppression of its function, yes, and also suppression of breathing. But exactly how this will happen, well, no one can tell me, because there are very few children with this mutation. We don't have any in Ukraine. Lyosha has a tracheostomy and a gastrostomy. A fundoplication was performed on his stomach so that he wouldn't vomit. Also, after we returned from abroad, yes, we learned that there is a method of implanting a vagus nerve stimulator. All of us together raised money for Lyosha to get the stimulator, 500,000 hryvnias. He feels better now because he has fewer seizures and no longer shakes constantly. Just small myoclonias like this and other seizures. Taking care of Lyosha actually requires a lot of time with him, being next to him. Constant suctioning from the trachea, mucus from his nose, also feeding him on a schedule. His own menu, let's say, yes, balanced, that's it. Which suits him more or less, because he can't have a bowel movement on his own. Every other day it's an enema. Gastrostomy, just like a tracheostomy, requires changing the dressings. I treat these fistulas, that's what they're called. I use special alcohol-free antiseptics, and I do this every day. Lyosha needs cleaning every 5 minutes, and my nights aren't restful either, though it's a bit easier then. Lyosha lies on his side with his leg raised, so all the saliva doesn't go into the tracheostomy, but onto the diaper. He can't turn over by himself or move. He can't move his leg. Lyosha stopped responding when I talked to him, stopped responding to me. The only thing is when I walk by and he's sitting or lying down, I just pass him. It's like he can follow me with his eyes, yes, but he doesn't really focus his gaze on me. It's just like that. For Lyosha, changes in light and temperature, he reacts to them in his own way, with episodes. And sometimes when it comes to kisses, maybe when he just woke up, his mind is fresh from the night, that's when I kiss him like that. His lips twist, just like kids who don't really like being kissed or squeezed. It's the same when I pick him up in my arms, vertically. I feel like he really enjoys it. I can sense from his body that he's stretching out like, hooray! And then he stretches out all his limbs, his arms and legs, like he's having a big stretch. Right, Lyoshka? Acceptance was very difficult. It happened after they told us that nothing could be done to help Lyosha. We came from Germany, and for a long time we just couldn't come to terms with this idea. I was practically crying my eyes out every day, really. But I realized that with all my negative emotions, I would only make things worse. I started to understand, yes, that Lyosha wouldn't be healthy, especially when he was already fully with all these upgrades, yes, with the tracheostomy, that, well, it's unlikely we'll ever remove it, yes. It's unlikely he'll ever eat by mouth. With a spoon, yes. Well, we appreciate what we have every day now, and what we have right now. Yes, despite everything the doctors have said. They say he has 3 months or maybe 3 years left, but no one really knows. We're not gods, and neither are they. We can't predict when someone will go. That's why all my pain transforms into something positive, let's put it that way. Because a gloomy mother next to a child like that, I think, is not what the child needs. Yes, when I worry or cry or get upset, he acts the same way. Yes, he has more seizures then. Yes, I have an older child, Sonia, who is 11. It was a difficult separation. I was almost never with her. When Lyosha was born, I disappeared completely. I blame and reproach myself a lot for that. But I had no other choice. That's why Sonechka stays neutral toward Lyosha. Sometimes she says, Mom, why did this situation happen in our family when we wanted a brother so much? But no one is completely protected from this, and no one can predict in advance how things will turn out. And I say, Sonia, look at how we're coping. Look, we're together, we're a family, and we even have to help each other. I say we need to understand each other and meet each other halfway. Since we've been together for so many years, and for so many years we haven't lost heart, we haven't fallen apart, throwing everything away, getting tired of everything or anything like that. No, we keep going on this difficult path of ours. And I think we do it with a lot of dignity, right? Well, let's put it this way. We rarely find ourselves surrounded by strangers. We don't go for walks in the city because I can't get the stroller out by myself or put Lyoka in it or then carry him in my arms. I just physically can't do it. Well, like friends around us, well, we don't have any friends left anymore. Because we can't all go out together into nature. We can't go for a walk somewhere on a birthday. Meeting up is just impossible now. We've lost that. My phone is always on silent. Lyosha is scared by loud noises. That's why now, well, there are other people who support us. I have no regrets. Unless someone has been in my shoes, they won't understand this situation. If someone finds it disgusting to look, and there are people around us who don't really like to see it, well, they visit us the least. I take that into account and accept it. I think that from these kinds of clips, from these moments, from these kinds of shoots, this is a huge help for those parents who might find themselves in such a situation. Of course, God forbid it happens.
They're not alone in this.
Because when Lyosha was born, I thought that no one else had a situation like this. And that it was a catastrophe, that he was the only one like this, that I had no one to talk to and no one to ask for advice. Being a mom to a child with a rare genetic mutation is probably a real challenge. A challenge for the whole family. But still, despite everything, they go on with faith, hope, and a lot of love.